So welcome. I'm going to also type in the comments. Can you confirm you can see and hear me? Yes, so hopefully you all are able to see and hear me. Aya is going to join me. Okay, so I'm loud and clear. Yay, awesome. And I'm assuming y'all can see me too. So Aya's actually, I'm texting back and forth with her right now. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Ebony and 25th Dynasty, for letting me know. So Aya is going to join us in just a few moments. She's actually super busy today. So she had another live stream. So she's wrapping that up so she can join us today. While we're waiting for her, I do want to talk a little bit more about why we're here today. So first of all, I want to thank you all for being here. I'm going to shout a few of you out. Some of you introduced yourselves. So we have Kadesh, living in Metro Atlanta. Welcome, Clive from Atlanta, Jasiri, who's representing from Jonesboro, James from Longleaf Media here in Atlanta, Amanda Kemp, who's from Houston. And yeah, thank you all so much. And Ebony, thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. Go ahead and send the link out to your friends. Tell them, we got started a little late so they can still join us. And we have not gotten started just yet. If you all want to go ahead too and just share a little bit of why you are here today. I'm curious to know why you all were attracted to come to this event today. How did you hear about it? Did you hear about it on Instagram? Did you hear about it on Eventbrite? Did you get an email from me or a text message from me? I'd love to hear that. So why I wanted to put together this event, and I'll talk a little bit about why I invited Aya specifically to come join, but why I thought it was so important to have this event is because I wanted to talk about, for entrepreneurship, how we maintain ourselves spiritually and mentally, especially right now where some of us are going through, most of us probably are having to shift our businesses. We're having to shift our paradigms. Like we're going through a paradigm shift right now. So it's a lot of stress for a lot of us. And it's times like this that really kind of reveal our vulnerabilities. And so I wanted to talk about, as business owners, we often talk about strategies and how to be successful, how to make money, but we rarely talk about how to incorporate purpose and spirituality into that and actually run our businesses in a way that is purposeful and aligned with our belief system. So that is why I invited Aya to come. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation. And Aya and I actually met, I want to say probably almost 2 years ago here in Atlanta. She's actually residing in Peru right now, which is awesome. So she's going to talk to us a little bit more about that, but she is a spiritual healer and she was having these really cool events in Atlanta called Twerk and Tarot. And that's pretty cool. So I actually was never able to attend an event, but from my understanding, it was a bunch of women that would come together and they would twerk, have a good time, and learn how to utilize the tarot. So she was having that event, and I remember kind of seeing some things about it on social media. And I actually ended up meeting her just randomly at an event. It was at Switch Yards, right? In almost like downtown. I guess it's considered downtown ATL. Awesome. So someone is a client here of Aya's. That's wonderful. So yes. So I met her there and we got to talking and we had a lot in common, and we ended up like going out for tea a couple weeks later and just kind of staying in touch here and there. And when I kind of posted about an interest in wanting to do some more content about this topic, she actually reached out to me and said she would love to join me. So that is why we thought it was great to partner on this. So I'm going to check my messages and make sure she hasn't said anything. Okay. She said she wanted to freshen up for you guys. She wanted to look cute for you. So that is why I chose to partner with her. And she and I actually had a conversation yesterday, kind of talking a little bit about what we were going to talk about today. And I mean, our conversation was so good. And we talked about spirituality, entrepreneurship, but sustainability, like how to operate your business in a sustainable fashion that isn't going to burn you out. Like we specifically spoke a little bit about workaholism and overwhelm and operating your business in a way that kind of like just drives you into the ground. And so definitely in her realm, like both of us work with clients, so we can definitely relate to wanting to serve those clients, wanting to help those clients, wanting them to be successful, and sometimes struggling with putting some of those boundaries up so that people are not completely like using you and depleting you, and you are developing like a toxic, resentful relationship with your business and your clients. That's not what you want to be doing, right? You want to be having a relationship where you feel good about your business. So actually she's here. Awesome. So I'll let her straighten up her camera, but I'm going to add her in 1 second. So yeah, we want to be building relationships where we feel good about our businesses. When we transition, a lot of us are transitioning out of entrepreneurship into, or transitioning out of full-time work into entrepreneurship. And we don't want to carry some of those not so healthy things that we learn in that corporate environment into our businesses. So I'm going to go ahead and add Aya in. Let's see. Hey.
Oh my God.
Hey,
Hi.
girl.
How are you guys?
Awesome. Welcome. Awesome. So you see we have some folks here today.
Yeah.
So a couple
How
of
are
your
you guys
clients
doing?
are here. They're already talking about you. So a couple of your clients are here and definitely wanted to join. How are you doing? Welcome all the way from Peru. Welcome.
Hey, Ebony. Hey, Amanda. Oh, I see what you're saying. Hey, Longleaf Media and Clive, and I'm looking here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm
out.
good. I just got out of a live session talking about Chiron in the 12th house, and I'm sorry I'm late.
No worries. No worries. So that gave a lot of people a chance to jump on, because I was able to send a text out to everyone who registered to send them a reminder. So that gave us a little more time to get folks in. And then of course, if you all want to send out the YouTube link to anyone you think that would benefit from it, it will remain on YouTube afterward as well. And I'm going to go ahead and send over the video to Aya, so she may put it on her page as well. So you will have an opportunity to see a replay, but if you want to join us live, we will have a Q&A portion. So you may want to send that link out to any friends who may want to join us live. So welcome, Aya. I want to first start off with you sharing a little bit about yourself. And then, let me ask you what you want to do. So we did talk yesterday and you mentioned you wanted to start off with a prayer. So do you want to start that first and then talk a little bit more about yourself, or do we want to switch the order?
Let's talk about how we met. So that
okay,
I
did share a little bit about it, but let's go through it again, because we definitely want your perspective. So I was telling them about you were here in Atlanta at the time, and what year this was like maybe 28, 19, 28, 29. I don't know. I've only been in Atlanta 3 years, so it wasn't 2017. So I'm sure it was like the next year. So it was probably 2018 or 2019. But I was telling them how I had first heard about you because I ran across your event, Twerking Tarot.
Oh yeah.
And then we actually met, and I was like, we just happened to meet at Switch Yards. Like, I didn't say it was for an Airbnb, but we're there for like Airbnb was doing an event and we both attended. And we just started chatting each other up. And I was like, yeah, you're the girl that does the Twerking Tarot, right?
Yeah. I love doing wholesome events for spiritual people who are empathetic, or maybe they're readers and healers, and they're sitting down a lot. And they don't necessarily want to go to the club, or they don't want to like drink or smoke. And I feel like we need events too. You know, those of us who are initiating and going through a purification process, like everybody don't want to just turn up in the same way.
Right. And then there's a lot of energies in those spaces that you may not want to be around either.
Yeah. And so I'm a Florida girl. I went to high school in Florida, and all we did was like get together and turn on music and dance. And it was just like wholesome fun.
Yeah. You know? And just Florida's a big dancing place too. What part of Florida?
Huh?
What part of Florida did
Orlando.
you go in? Orlando, yes. So it's a lot of really good music in that area.
Yeah, a whole lot of good music. a whole
Yes,
lot of
and I was telling them, so we met there and then we ended up linking up a few times after, and I ended up getting back in touch. We haven't talked in a while, and I'm getting back in touch with you around this event. And you told me you had moved to Peru, and I just thought that was so. How long have you been in Peru?
Okay, well, I did not move here. I was here on vacation, and then
Okay,
a quarantine, like
so it
the
made you.
borders closed,
Oh, okay. So it
and
made
they're
it your
and they're
home.
and they're still closed.
Mm,
You know,
nice. Okay, so do you still consider Atlanta to be your home base?
of course.
Okay. Okay. So you will be returning back to us, uh,
Mm.
maybe, maybe possibly.
Well, I asked for signs from the universe as to where I should be, where I should go,
Hmm.
like because everything is changing so rapidly,
Right.
you know. And so I want to do what's for my highest and best good. And they
Hmm.
gave me signs of where I should go next, and it really wasn't to come back
Okay.
to Georgia right now, but I know I will be back. All my stuff is
Right.
there.
Awesome. 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 So if we want to start, let's come back around to kind of just grounding this conversation before we really start digging into some of the questions. We will, of course, while we're talking, invite other people to ask questions as well. And I did talk a little bit about like why we're here, what was kind of my thought process in coming together in this conversation. So I do want to give you the opportunity before we get into the prayer for you to kind of share why did you think it was important for you to join me today for this conversation?
Anything that has to do with spirituality and community, and like sharing a space and teaching people how to um, I guess initiate through their process
Mm-hmm.
and awaken, and also ground that spiritual energy in something so practical like a business is like right up my alley of what I have to share because I have done it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and part of the reason why I'm able to live in Peru and and also have my space in Atlanta is because of my intent to live on purpose and to intentionally build a business where I could travel anywhere around the
Mm-hmm.
world and still be able to sustain myself.
Absolutely. So, kind of what I'm hearing you say is part of it is, the spiritual aspect, but also being able to design this business to live a life that fits your your dreams, right? Fits what you value, which is being able
Yeah,
to kind of have that freedom of movement, which I think a
right.
lot of people value that for sure. Wonderful.
Yeah,
So, how about do you want to start with the prayer? How what would you
yeah. Let's
like
start
us?
off with a prayer.
Okay.
So I just want to give thanks. That's how I pray. I give thanks to our ancestors. I give thanks to our guides and all of our guardian angels and all of our even our shadow self and our challenges that we go through. All of it is a part of the circle of life and our intricate connection to source. And without the mother, the goddess, we would not be here. And without God consciousness, the father, we would not be able to dream and to move and to have existence. So we give thanks for the all. We give thanks for one another. And as we in this prayer, I'd like for everyone to just put heart emojis into the comments just to show our connection, our heart connection to one another, because that's really what's most important. We have our businesses and our dreams, not just so that we can fuel ourselves, but so that we can fuel our community and fuel our families and do the things that we want to be able to do, the things that bring us joy and peace and connection. So we give thanks for all these things in advance, and so it is.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I feel
You're
like I
welcome.
feel a lot more. I was already relaxed coming in, but now I feel like super relaxed. Super relaxed to have this conversation, which is we definitely want to have great energy. So some people said they're also interested in maybe thinking about Peru or Latin America. Like I actually lived in Brazil for a year prior
Oh,
to
that's
moving to
awesome.
Atlanta. So I definitely know kind of the experience. There is something very like It's not, because I've also traveled to Africa, so it's not the same. It's a different vibe in Africa, but there's something very grounding about being in Latin America, especially as a Black woman, that feels really good. Because
Yeah.
so much of our culture is there, and it is still very much, present in the traditions and the food and the buildings. So I have not personally been to Peru, but I've heard really good things about it.
Well, yeah, Cusco is like walking around in ancient ruins.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everything is very old, even if it's new, because of
Right.
the way they build. They build with mud. Everything is encased around like this mud encasing, and then they like
Mm-hmm.
lacquer it, and there's these beautiful colors and
Wow.
mural. This art, it's like walking around in art. It's a very
Mm-hmm.
artistically driven space. And so you'll see a lot of people walking around with their art and
Mm-hmm.
selling their art. Even the food here is made in a very artistic way. There's chocolate bakeries and bread bakeries everywhere. It's so easy to get fat. I mean,
But at least you're walking.
oh
So
yeah,
does
it's I'm,
Peru?
I'm
Oh, go
definitely
ahead.
in the mountains.
Oh, awesome. So you get some tension. It's a lot of walking up, a lot of
A
inclines, a
lot,
lot of hit.
a lot.
What was I about to ask you? I was going to ask you, does Peru have opposite seasons to the
Well, yeah,
United States?
we're in winter time right now.
Okay, that's what I thought. So it was the same thing in Brazil. So they're in winter, like when we're in summer, and whatever the opposite is. So I mean, that's what makes it way more comfortable, I'm sure, to be there, because it's not like boiling.
No, it's not. It's actually during the day. It's like a sun kiss. It's like an Indian summer,
Mm-hmm.
and it's 30 degrees at night. But who's outside at night anyway?
Yeah. Nice, 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 nice. So I did send you over a few questions, and definitely what I wanted to talk to you about is kind of your journey. Like, how did you get here? And how did you know that you were called to do spiritual work?
It's in my first of all, it's in my bloodline. I can't really take a lot of credit for it, and I can't really say that I wanted to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that it was already in my lap, and it was already like um, around me. Music, art. My family is a very shamanic, oracle, artistic.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody sings, paints, draws, dances, and heals.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
so I of course had a very strenuous shamanic journey. My awakening journey was full of suffering, because when there's great darkness, there's also great light. So in order for me to unearth my gifts, or honestly to stop running from them, because for me it was a process of not wanting to be myself. I wanted to be somebody different, because I grew up with people calling me weird, because I would walk up to people and I would know who they were, or see things and just talk to people like I knew them. And I had to learn how to control um, my gifts and be a normal person, which has not been an easy process, you know, to
Mm.
give people their space, and then to learn how to charge for my services, because I learned that a lot of people were around me, not to be there for me, but because of the wisdom and the knowledge and the healing that I give to people naturally. So I had to learn how to separate that part of myself from out of my relationships and friendships and stuff like that.
So for you, so this is something interesting. Kind of, I was telling everyone before you came on that you and I had a conversation yesterday, and it didn't kind of, I didn't think about it until like this morning when I was thinking about, our conversation today. You had shared that you were formerly, I believe you said, a nurse's assistant, or you worked in the
Yes,
medical field, right?
yes.
Prior
I mean,
to,
I've done a lot of things, as far as like just having regular jobs and stuff like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, but I really enjoyed being a nursing assistant. I actually learned a lot of how to stand up for myself and and
Mm.
I guess lead, because you have to use your voice.
In that
Every
role. Yeah.
yeah, everything that I have done up until this point has taught me a lot and prepared me in some way, shape, or form to help people. Yeah, so I did before, right before I moved into this space. I was working as a nursing assistant, and I was also selling like natural products like whipped soaps and cupcake soaps, and I would turn soaps into cakes. Like I have always been interested in like holistic health,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm the type of person that if I can make it myself, why would I buy
Right.
it? Like that's
Right.
just how my mind works. And so I have made like some of like everything, and then I end up selling it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, what was your question in
Yeah,
future?
I mean, yeah, that was so what I was thinking about is kind of that connection between even you doing that work is still healing. It was just in a different way. So I don't know
Yeah.
if you have like a thread like that that you would pull through all of the different things that you've done or the different lives that you've lived, if there's kind of like that continuous theme of healing or of wanting to help other people be healthier, be well, whether it's through actually providing medical services or providing products that help their skin and help their mood, or actually providing healing advisement and services.
Yeah, so my many different lives are interesting. Like I said before, I come from an artistic family, so my background really is mostly artistic. I started off singing, and I wanted to be a writer when I was 8 years old, and I used to write chapter. I mean, I still do write actually.
Mm-hmm.
I used to write chapter books, and I sang in a choir. And I guess my first contacts with my healing energy was with people at church telling me that I have a healing voice. And my
Mm-hmm.
first lady at church brought me into her office and told me she had a dream that my hands were on fire, you
Mm.
know. And so I've had like many different
So what does that
encounters.
mean? What does that
Well,
mean?
to her, it meant that I was supposed to direct the youth choir,
Oh, okay.
which I did because I was already like a lead singer and on the radio and stuff at like a very young age, singing, you know.
Awesome.
But what it means to me now is that I have healing hands. Like
Mm.
when I went through my Reiki training, which is interesting as well because I never really wanted to be a Reiki healer. None of this I really ever wanted to do. Everything just kind of like fell in my lap at the time that it was supposed to. Um, the office space that I had in Atlanta, um, I walked into it and the lady was like, "You're the person I'm looking for. My mom is sick in someplace in Europe, and I need to go home. And I want to teach you Reiki so that you can help my clients while I'm
Wow.
gone." And I was like, okay.
Like,
And
why
so
not? Okay, cool.
I was like, okay. And so I was just looking for a space to do foot reflexology because I also have a certification in foot reflexology.
Okay.
Yeah. And so she trained me in Reiki, and when she gave me my attunement, well, before she gave me my attunement, she told me that I already had the Reiki in my hands and that I really
Mm.
didn't really need to be attuned.
Mm. So
So
what
like
is
kind of
Reiki for those who don't know? Just like a simple
Reiki,
definition.
Reiki, in Japanese it means universal life force energy,
Okay.
and it's actually some energy grid that gets put into my hands into the chakras, the seven chakras of the system. And so we all have energy centers that are wheels that spin around in the front and in the back, kind of like a funnel that
Mm-hmm.
connects us to our roots, our which would be our family energy, our ancestral energy, our abundance center, how we make our money. And then their sacral chakra is the pleasure zone, like how you receive pleasure or don't receive pleasure, because your chakras can either be in alignment and healed and working, or they can be shut down and
Okay.
closed and blocked. And so Reiki opens up your chakras, cleans out any negative debris, and up next to the sacral is the solar plexus, which is our center of independence. That's honestly the chakra for entrepreneurs, really. If you have an entrepreneur spirit, then your solar plexus are like boom, boom, boom. I
Mm,
want to be independent. I want to use my willpower in the world to make things happen. And so if that center is kind of closed down and not working well for you, then you could possibly be experiencing like a low self-esteem, or not believing in yourself, or letting other people tell you who you are. And you just kind of like can't seem to like get your willpower together, the discipline to
mm,
move forward. And then your heart chakra is how we connect, of course, with other people. Um, and having a broken heart and going through grief, and having broken connections in our life could close up our heart chakra. And, and a lot of people hold a lot of pain in their heart. Your throat chakra is your self-expression, how you stand up for yourself. It's kind of self-explanatory. And also is the chakra that holds your purpose as well, because you have
mm,
to be able to express your purpose and say it out loud, admit it, and kind of stand in what you believe in. That's your throat chakra. And your third eye would be where your imagination is, and like where you like hold your dreams. And a lot of people have a hard time living in their body, in their lower chakra. A lot of people's lower chakra energy is disrupted by trauma, whether
mm.
that be abandonment, ancestral trauma, like even past life trauma that you're not even aware of, that your ancestors went through. A lot of us have slaves in our ancestry, and we hold that energy in our root chakras a lot of times. I know
Mm.
that the last time I had a healing session, the lady told me that she was like, was your great grandmother a slave? And I was like, well, her mother was. So it's really
Mm.
not that long ago, because my
Yeah.
great grandmother is still alive.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
My great grandmother is still alive, and I have asked her about stories about
Wow.
her childhood, and she has told me her experiences of trauma. She got pregnant when she was 13. For some reason, I'm about to cry. She
Mm.
got pregnant when she was 13, and she got blamed for it. She got beat for it.
Was she assaulted when she got pregnant?
She didn't tell me that, because really all she remembers is her father beating her
Mm-hmm.
and sending her away. Well, first her mother sent her away to her father, and and then when she was telling me the story, she was like, anytime Papa was disappointed in me, he would just get to beating and the beating and the beat. I'm like I mean, she said it over and over again, you
Mm.
know. And so that violence and that corporal punishment from slavery
Yeah.
gets passed down to a lot of us, even if our parents, because my mom, she didn't treat me like that,
Mm-hmm.
but it was in her spirit.
Right. She didn't do the exact thing,
Right.
but you're saying her energy towards you was hostile.
Very. Because of the violence she experienced from
Mm.
my great grandmother. and her mother.
Mm-hmm.
You know, extreme, extreme. And so, um, a lot of times, um, we can be carrying around energies that don't belong to us anymore.
Yeah.
And so Reiki is a tool. It's not the only one, but it's a tool to help set people free
Hmm. And
energetically.
so, absolutely. So, as far as like relating that to entrepreneurship, why do you think? Well, before I even ask that, I asked this question because, and I spoke to you about this yesterday, entrepreneurship is something that oftentimes puts you in a position where you're forced to kind of face things about yourself, like
Yeah.
energy blocks. Or I feel like me transitioning to entrepreneurship is kind of what really showed me certain areas of my life. Like, man, I have a lot of limiting beliefs in this area, or I have some blocks in certain areas that hold me back from excelling, or have held me back in excelling in entrepreneurship. Thankfully, I am able to be aware, at least call those things out, and be seeking, healing for those things. And I think when you're doing work, especially when you're working with different types of people in your line of work, as well as in my line of work, as well as some of you who are also joining this conversation, you may be in positions where you work a lot with people. You're dealing with a lot of different energies, and stuff will come up because people will
Mhm.
trigger you. And relating that, you actually have a podcast called Trigger Happy, and you have 3 episodes now. I actually listened to all of them, and I learned so much from those episodes, but you really delve into childhood trauma. You
Yeah.
also delve a lot into identifying and self-soothing or self-coping with some of those triggers that you may
Yeah.
have. And I think when you're in business, a lot of different types of triggers come up, whether it's difficult types of personalities or struggles with money. Like a lot of us have blocks
Mhm.
around finances. And when you're going out and you're putting yourself in a position where your financial livelihood is dependent upon yourself, that can bring up a lot of trauma and crap you didn't even always have to face when you were in the 9 to 5 world. So why do you think it's so important for entrepreneurs, especially to do some of this spiritual work and to identify their triggers and begin to start to heal those things?
That's kind of a loaded question,
I know
yo.
it's so much. It's
Yeah,
heavy.
that's a lot, yo. It's like, okay, why is it important? Well, you can't help it, first of all.
Hmm.
Like you were saying, stuff is going to come up. And
Yeah.
so my spiritual practice with for myself and what I assist other people in doing, like if when people come to see me, we start off with the trigger that's coming up today,
Hmm.
or the trigger that's coming up the most, and you start there because you can't heal everything overnight. It's not like it's not like you're going to become the perfect entrepreneur overnight.
Right.
And I feel like entrepreneurs need to be patient with themselves
That's hard because you
because
want
I,
the
I feel
result
like
now.
the
Yeah.
end result, you may not even know what it is. Like I was saying before, like I started off doing I have done so many things. I mean, and I didn't say I went to the Art Institute for photography. And I used to have a green screen business, and I used to do graphic design for people. You would think I'm 100 years old, how many things I have done.
Mhm.
But I've been searching for the right fit for me and my dreams and my lifestyle. So the importance of healing for a entrepreneur, it's the only way you're going to get to your dreams. I'll say that.
Mhm.
Like actually like facing your triggers, which is your shadow self, honestly.
Right.
And then the thing about money, you have to surrender. You have to you have to surrender
That's
that.
so difficult because when we think of entrepreneurship, even your point of talking about like that being like the solar plexus, entrepreneurs often have like strong solar plexuses. I don't know that's how you say the plural of that word. But you think that you have to be very action oriented and go getter, and I gotta go out and make it happen. So to think you actually, like, the key to it is actually surrendering some of that control, or a lot of that control, and working within the events that are happening, that the universe is guiding you, as opposed to trying to be in the driver's seat and push the direction of things, is a super hard thing. Like, it's something you can understand logically, but it's a super hard thing to really, really implement.
You guys, I don't really consider myself a true entrepreneur, like probably some of you are. I was going to say, you guys are inspirational.
Yeah.
You have to understand that to be an inspiration, you're going to go through trials and tribulations, and your character is being purified. And honestly, the universe wouldn't have it any other way for someone who is a leader and who is an example. People who have economic power are considered kings and queens, like, right? If you want to look at, like, what it actually, the symbol of this, I would say the symbol would be the sun, power, innovation, ingenuity, creativity, being a leader. The sun is a symbol of Jesus or Krishna, and it sets and it rises. So sometimes you're going to go through hell. That's a symbol of the sun setting. You're going to go into hell, and you're going to conquer your demons, so that you can have the strength to lead all these different types of people. Because the maturity level you have to have, it's just
different. It's next level. It's next level.
It's next level. Yeah. The maturity, the psychological strength, the
mental,
you have to take care
the
of yourself,
fortitude, the physical.
Yes, everything is very high level of responsibility. And I like to break down the word responsibility to the ability to respond. So you're building your own ability to respond to life and its challenges, which are never going to stop. So each level you get through, you're getting stronger and stronger. The one layer that you heal, and one layer of yourself that you conquer, that's a part of your business that gets better. I mean, it goes hand in hand. You know, if you feel better, then your business is going to feel better to other people. The more you get to know yourself, and that could just mean you healing your relationship with your mom. It doesn't even have to be related to business necessarily. You know, the things that come up to be healed, but they could very well be blockages to you seeing your full potential.
Right.
Like you have to see yourself for who you are and get out of that victim mode in order to be an entrepreneur.
Entrepreneurship definitely calls you into this space of, like, this radical responsibility, because it's just you. Oftentimes, you know, most of us are not starting out with a team. So, and even if you do have a team, you recognize that you are the leader of everything. And so kind of the buck stops with you. So it does cause you to face those things that you may not want to face. And so with that being said, I sent you a quote, and I wanted to pull it up on my phone because I kind of wanted to read this quote, and it's kind of like a statement and response. Like, what are some of the things that come up for you with this particular statement? So the statement is, before I can tell my life what I want to do with it, I must listen to my life telling me who I am.
Ooh, child.
And the quote is by Parker Palmer.
Okay. I can't always trust life to tell me who I am, because it's not always like positive feedback.
Right.
Sometimes you have to rise above and be better than what life, well, for me, you know.
Yeah.
I have a negative introject from my childhood that I'm constantly like loving up on,
Mm.
you know? And so, and I know everybody's different. Um, but a lot of us have more negative thoughts about ourselves than we do like positive. And then like some of the toxic like relationships and stuff we get in don't necessarily give us the best feedback. Like what
Right.
feedback is the guy talking about?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know?
And I'm curious, in that quote, was it referencing life in the sense of like the external physical world of what we're seeing? Is it
Mhm.
referencing experience? Like what elements of life are we looking to inform who we are?
Well,
And yeah.
yeah, I kind of talked about it at the beginning that I had symbols and signs all throughout my life telling me who I am,
Mm-hmm.
and that eventually it caught up to me and I had to live it. It stopped being the universe or my guides or my ancestors or whomever giving me signs. It's like, this is who you are, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And I ignored it, or I just didn't understand it for a long time.
Yeah.
Until after the 2 hurricanes I went through in St. Thomas. I told you I lived.
Yeah. You did. You mentioned you lived in St. Thomas before as well. So we see you
Yeah,
like warm weather and water. That's a big thing for you.
water is a big deal.
Yeah. So in
Water
Florida,
is a
where you
big
are
deal.
now.
But I learned from living in St. Thomas, I can't live in tropical areas. I actually broke out in like sun blisters on my face.
Wow.
I had allergic reaction to the heat. And that was
Mm,
very disappointing because I was really interested in trying to live in Bali. And now I know I can't do it.
mm, Well, that's life telling you. Uh,
That's
life
right.
telling
There
you
you go.
who you
That's an
are,
example of
and you
life
have to
informing you.
respond and be like, "Okay, life, I get it." No, I definitely think I've been in a lot of situations where, and you have situations where someone tells you like, "What's coming to mind?" And I was like, even hesitant on sharing it as it was coming to mind, but I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. It came to my mind, so maybe it's supposed to be for me to share. But I was thinking about like when I was in college and I wanted to be a part of a sorority. And I remember someone telling me, like, that ain't for you. Like,
Mm,
that's just not for you. Like, I can already see how you are. Like, you wouldn't like that kind of thing. And I was just
mm,
like, whatever, what do you know? And that when I look back on that now, I'm like, they were totally right. Like, it wasn't
mm,
for me, like how I am, who I even was then. Certain things about me, of course, are core things that really haven't changed. And I've always been someone who's
right.
kind of like more resistant to authority. Not so much a person, like as I've gotten older, I'm not as like boisterous about the resistance. I think I had simmered, but now I'm like back boisterous. Now I feel like as I get closer to, I don't know, I'm in my later 20s now and getting into my 30s, I'm like becoming the more boisterous, defiant person that I used to be as a kid. But
Mm,
I was like, yeah, that probably, like at that phase, 18, 19, 20, I was a little bit more, I was resistant, but not as vocal as I had been. I think because of life and whatever conditioning, but I think now I'm getting back into that vocal place. But I saw that to say that was an example of life kind of telling me, no, that's not for you. And me resisting that up to a certain point and then being like, girl,
it really isn't for you. Well,
yeah.
yeah, I
Mhm.
I had my journey where I was trying to be a singer in the industry and stuff, and I had a manager, and I was in a room with guys talking about giving me a deal and them putting up $1 million for my single or whatever. But um, I ended up rejecting it because my manager had promised me that I could use my own music and that I could be myself. And
Mhm.
when I got into the room, they were telling me how to sing. They were telling me who to be. They were like, she needs to be like Beyonce. We just need
Oh,
this hot
goodness.
single or whatever. And I was like, I started yelling and like flipping out. Um,
At the meeting?
Yes.
Oh, girl, I want to be a fly on the wall at this meeting.
Yeah. Well, because I had multiple sessions with producers and stuff telling me, I just got tired of it, telling me and I have a very distinct, I've always been very sure about who I am, you know, and I just did not think it was fair. And then on top of that, my manager was trying to sleep with me. And it was just like a whole bunch of tomfoolery that I just felt like if I got into that situation, I
Yeah.
would end up in like a horrible place psychologically, you know? And so I rejected it. And for the longest time, I regretted that. But I know at that time, looking back, that I did the wise thing for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And kind of what's coming to mind as you were sharing that story is a couple of weeks ago, I did a live with another friend named Aya that I grew up with. And she and I had a conversation around like reimagining what wealth looks like, specifically for the Black community, because oftentimes we measure like what that wealth looks like in relation to what white people have been able to do. And then we also talked about there being a lot of like us having, just as a society, not even just within the Black community, kind of like negative viewpoints around wealth and thinking that in order to be wealthy, I think part of it is because you think in order to be wealthy, you have to sell out. So it's like this situation, I brought that up because the situation you just named is like that situation that this stereotypical situation that we think that in order for us to be successful, to have accomplish our dreams, we have to compromise ourselves in some type of fashion. And so many people do it. And so it's hard for us to even imagine or accept that it is possible to have our dreams be achieved, to have whatever that life looks like without having to kind of give up, like sell a piece of yourself somewhat to get it.
Right. I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
think that is also like a big limiting belief that people have. And when you trying to do entrepreneurship and you're starting something fresh and you're trying to bring it out to the world, it's easy to kind of go back into those thoughts where like, you know, everyone else I know or the people I look up to in the media who are famous, they all kind of have like character things that I don't really like, or they all have something about them that doesn't feel good to me and doesn't show a good representation to me. So how can I come in and like do something different? Like, what are some of the ways in which you have been able to kind of overcome whatever those self-limiting beliefs have been for you so you can be successful, even if you consider yourself more of a non-traditional entrepreneur, so that you can move forward in this work?
It's been a process. I have suffered greatly from overworking myself sometimes, or just not um, understanding who I am. I feel like the more I get to know myself and who I am, it becomes easier. I feel like that's really um, the major key that's missing for a lot of people, that instead of comparing yourself to other people, you really have to be yourself, and trust in who you are, and who you're becoming will unfold naturally. And so I guess some of my struggles would be resisting who I am. That's been like my main struggle. And sometimes I still get a tap on the hand from my ancestors and my guides. Is like, it's okay for you to be in your power, because me being in my power might not look or seem empowering to other people, but
Yeah.
it's not about what it looks like to other people. It's about me, kind of like what we were talking about yesterday. This is something that keeps coming up for me this lifetime, that it's not about the end result, it's about the journey. And it's about the lessons that I'm learning on my way to wherever I don't even know. And I guess, and I feel like we all need to recognize that we don't know what we're doing. The more you understand that you don't know what you're doing, and
Right.
that you're just kind of putting one foot in front of the other, and you're being guided by your true self by your ancestors, by your guides, by insight, by quotes, because you like books and quotes and stuff like that.
Mhm.
We get signs and signals every day. I call it like following like the breadcrumbs, like Hansel and Gretel, Little Red Riding Hood. You're like in the darkness in the
It does
forest.
feel that way. It definitely does feel that way. Little signs and crumbs and yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like if you're actually following your dreams, because how lifetimes work, like if you look at like your north and your south node is where you're comfortable. And I feel like that's where people kind of trip themselves up. They want to feel comfortable in something old that they're used to,
Mhm.
right? But in your new lifetime, in this present moment, and your most challenging self, you going after your dreams. Your dreams are something most of the time that challenges the hell out of you, that you just can't see yourself even really doing at all.
Yeah.
And that's and that's
Mhm.
where the adventure comes from. And so people say they're bored in their life. And when people come to me and they say, I'm bored, I'd be like, well, are you following your dreams? Because if you were following your dreams, you would not be bored.
Mm. Yeah, because there'll be more things to do. And it also kind of, as you're speaking, when I think about that breadcrumb thing, I was thinking about something I saw when Oprah was speaking, and they were kind of asking her, did she ever envision her life to be what it is now? And she said no, but I think for her, it was a breadcrumb thing. She had this one goal and she got to that place, and then she could see a little bit further, and then she got to the next
A
thing, and then she could
little
see a
bit
little bit
further.
further. And then and eventually she could see a little, like each step opened up a wider world of possibilities. But when she was, I think she grew up in Mississippi, or was it Alabama? One of those southern states. She probably couldn't see that far, like that, what she is now. She could never even fathom or think about that something like that could be possible. But
Right.
she at each stage could see a little bit further. So that's yeah, that's a great way to think about. So I do want to invite folks who are joining us to go ahead and comment in the comment section if you have any questions kind of regarding our conversation right now. I want to give you the opportunity to do so. And so some people just joined us, I think. Some people have come in and out. So right now, if you're just joining us, welcome. We are here with Aya from A Fairy Good Life, and we are talking about a number of different things, but we're mainly speaking about entrepreneurship and spirituality and why it's so important to, I guess, be authentic to your journey at this time and kind of be yourself and go into what you know from a higher level of what you're supposed to be doing, as opposed to looking at what society is telling you should be
Can I
doing.
kind of switch gears a little bit?
Absolutely.
Okay, I wanted to talk about how to bring spirituality in a practical way into your business.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And so, all right, I would assume that most people here sharing this space with us are brown.
Mm-hmm.
Could I assume that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And so if you look at other cultures, if you go inside of their businesses, there's something that I often see that I don't see in Black businesses.
I know what you're
They
about
have
to say, but go ahead.
they have an author in their
Yes.
space.
Yes. 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 That's very true. Mhm.
They have offerings being given to their ancestors. They're not ashamed or afraid of their connection to the spirit world and how it connects them to their abundance.
Mm-hmm.
And so oftentimes when I'm counseling people, because people want more abundance, I understand. I feel like abundance is a root chakra issue. To me, that means that if your root chakra isn't taken care of, then you're going to be living in fear and insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like root chakra issues like family and money are very important to get out the way and go ahead and make sure you have those things so that you can move up into other
Mm-hmm.
areas of your life and feel more secure and get out of that lack and get out of that fear base So a practical thing you could do is to add pictures or symbols of the Sri Yantra, or pictures of the goddess Lakshmi, or make an altar to abundance. And symbols of abundance would be like seeds and acorns, because the law of abundance is that if you have faith the size of a mustard seed,
Right. That's also in the
you
Bible. Mm-hmm.
it's very much so. Yes, you can move mountains. And the reason why the Bible says that is because a mustard seed is like dust. If you drop it, it's like it's gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you plant it, you can feed like a multitude.
Right.
And that's really the law of abundance. That's the law on a micro level. We need to understand what we're made up of. We're made up of that law of abundance. All of the cells in our body, the millions of cells, the intelligence inside of us that make sure that everything is healed, that we're safe, that we're secure, that when we blink and open our eyes, everything is very abundant.
Mm-hmm.
Abundance isn't just paper money. Abundance is in the cells of your being. So you have that regardless of even if you just have your needs met. You need to be grateful for that type of and level of abundance. And so the awareness of that will draw that to you. If you focus on your abundance that you already have, more will be added unto you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you don't focus on gimme, gimme, gimme. I don't have this. I don't have that. You focus on, I have 10 fingers, 10 toes, 2 eyes, an abundance of beautiful hair. You focus on what you got.
Mm-hmm.
And then more will be added to you.
Absolutely. So, and I think we have to be careful of in our businesses how we speak about our businesses, how we speak
True.
about our future in relation to business or in relation to other areas of our lives, and how we speak about our clients as well, and like how we speak about our relationship with them. Because, and this is something we spoke about yesterday, but oftentimes we're building kind of like very resentful, toxic relationships with our businesses and with our customers and our clients. And it comes from somewhat of a place of lack. From what you're speaking about, it comes from a place of fear. And for me, I've tried to make a special practice of praying over my business and praying over the businesses of my clients as well, because I do recognize that. And when we think about abundance, in the collective abundance will also result in our personal abundance too. If people around us, if the people that we work with are doing well, then they're able to pay us so that we're doing well. So also being aware of, like, to your point of wanting to be here because of community, like recognizing the collective abundance of community, just having those people even there, but also wanting and intending for their success as well, I think is so important.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I love a happy person.
Yes, I think most people do.
Yeah, someone who is fulfilled, someone who feels like they have something to say, they have something to offer. Like, I love when people leave me and they feel like they can do it.
Yeah. And even when I'm working with clients, I listen to them and I listen to their tone of voice. Not just what they're saying, but also the tone of their voice. And some people, you can tell they're smiling about certain things when they speak to you. And there's certain things they may speak about, and you can tell, like, their voice, everything is dropping about it. So it's like, how do we lean into that aspects of what you're doing, that the thing that makes you smile, the thing that makes you light up? That's the thing that feels good to you for a reason. And the things that you may be offering, the ways in which you're doing things that make you feel super depleted and angry, those are the things that we need to address and probably get rid of, because those are the things that are stopping you from being able to probably see more abundance and success in your business.
You know what was hard for me is charging more. A lot of times, my issue of being drained was because I was not charging enough.
Yeah.
you know, and because I care about community and I care about my people, I kept my prices low for as long as I could because I enjoyed having people come to me that would not regularly be able to afford such services, but who needed them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would plead with my guides and be like, well, I don't want to turn people off that would not usually go after
Mm-hmm.
certain services and stuff like that. And I do offer a huge discount to like single moms and people who I see who are like in dire straits and who just really need. And sometimes I offer my services for free. But the fact is that I can't do that all the time,
Yeah.
you know? And so um, that for me has been a struggle as I transition and grow within myself and in trust is charging more
Mm-hmm.
for my
Absolutely. I
services.
think that's something I struggle with as well. But I've also tried to compensate for some of those things. To your point of offering, like I do 3 free consultations a week. And like offering, like maybe having certain things modeled into your business. Like for some events that I do charge for, I always have a couple of free tickets available, and I
Mm,
always have like a couple of pay what you wish options available. So at least, and I feel like for the people that that is meant for, then they're
right,
going to take advantage of that.
right.
So that kind of gives you the opportunity to still attract those people as well and serve those people too. So we did have a question from Jasiri. So I'm assuming you're a he from your avatar. How did you find clients that could identify with the services that you offer, or what did you do so they could find you?
Does that for you?
I think it's for you. Let's start with you first. I'll answer second.
Okay. Um, okay. Um, it depends on what type of service you're doing, the platform that you use. So when I was selling soaps and stuff, I was on Etsy heavy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you use and you can also use Etsy to get clients too, because I see
Mm-hmm.
counselors or life coaches or whatever on Etsy as well.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, you go to Etsy groups on Facebook, and everybody um, likes and favorites and puts in collections everybody else's products so that you can get on the first page,
That's
right?
so cool.
Yeah, and
It's kind of like
so
an
like
engagement group.
yeah, it was so it was a lot of stuff like that for me when I first started learning how to market myself. I joined a lot of groups that would help me push my products so that people
Mm-hmm.
could see them, and it worked. Like I started getting wholesale orders, and I started getting so many orders that I moved to a warehouse in the West End because I needed more space, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so different service. My services that I have now, I started off on YouTube. I
Mm.
started off sharing my knowledge. The reason why I switched from making products to what I would call intellectual property is so that I can travel.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
You know, I decided that I have a lot of knowledge. Why don't I share it?
Yeah.
And that would be easier for me to be more flexible in movement. And now I didn't know that if people would like me or not, or if people would respond, but people did. And
Mm-hmm.
so people started asking me because I would share my astrology knowledge, and people would be like, "Oh wow, can you give me an astrology reading?" Also, in Facebook groups with my tarot, I don't do tarot anymore, but when I first started doing tarot, I would go in some of my Facebook groups like ENFP group or whatever and say, "I'm a tarot reader, ask me anything," right? And so then my
They want
DM
more
would
after that. Yeah.
just get flooded. Like I would just get
Mm-hmm.
flooded with so many different people until I could not handle the influx. That's how I trained myself and also marketed myself. And also places like Thumbtack are good as well.
Mm-hmm.
But with Thumbtack, you need to make sure that you have reviews that you can that people can place on there. So giving your services out for free, I call it the internship period. I'm not saying that you have to give your services out for free for like 10 years or anything like that, but just showing your community that you're here, that you have something to offer, and barter. Be like, for an amazing review, I'm only going to charge you this amount, or I'm going to give you this service for free.
Mhm.
So that on places like Thumbtack, which what would you call Thumbtack? It's a
It's similar like Fiverr, but more local. It's like a Yellow Pages, I guess.
yeah,
Like a
it's
more
like
up
a
to date
Yellow
Yellow
Pages.
Pages.
Yeah, where people can find you, and they're looking for you to have great reviews. So make sure you get some reviews, and be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Make good descriptions of what you do. Have a great website. Be a great person, because I've
Yeah.
often had people just come up to me, and especially when I would be having stuff for sale, and be like,
Mm-hmm.
I like you. That's why
Right.
I'm buying.
People are buying
Yeah.
into you oftentimes.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. So, for me, for that question, so I started my business at the end of 2018, and I had been thinking about starting it maybe for a few months. And someone that I worked with at an old job actually contacted me and said, "Hey, I'm starting a business. You're like one of the only people I know who do marketing. Can you help me?" And so I said, "Well,
Wow.
yeah, I'll help you. And, I'll use this as an opportunity to like start my business." So by the time we like ready to start working, I'm like sending her an invoice. I got all my website is up. I got my email. Like I just was like ready to go, because we said we were going to work. I remember we said we're going to start working on like January 1st is when we're going to start working together. So I was like, okay, I use a month of December to get all my social media together, get my graphics, get my logo, all that fun stuff. So that's what I did. And definitely been working consistently since 2019. And as far as like getting clients, it depends on the service. The clients that come to me for services, because what I offer, I do marketing and branding for those who may not know. And you can check out my Instagram handle, which is my name, to see a little bit more about my services. And I have my website in the bio. But so my marketing services for hire that I do that include like social media management, email marketing, those types of things. Most of the people that I work with that are people I know through some capacity. So some of the people are, or I know them through, like it's relationships. So or I know them through someone else, like a personal referral, or I met them in some capacity and we know each other. For some of my other like coaching services and the classes that I do, a lot of that is through online. Putting my online events and things on Eventbrite. When I first started out in 2019, I did several like in-person events in Metro Atlanta. So some of you may have met me there if you came to one of those events. So I would make them free, and I would sell a couple of services while we were at the event. So and at the library, I was able to get the space for free. So I would do some free events, and they would be around marketing and branding. I would do a presentation, give people an opportunity to ask me questions, and then sell some consultations at the end. And so I was able to utilize that to kind of really understand more about what entrepreneurs needed. Because sometimes when you're providing, especially services, you don't exactly know what people need. And so it gave me the opportunity to meet people, but also understand what they need, because afterward I would get like 10 consultations, and then we'd hop on the phone and I get to talk to them and I get to understand kind of what are their pain points. And that's what informs like my services that I provide moving forward. So kind of where my business is now and the things that I offer is very different from what it looked like in 2018.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I understand what you're saying. So what I'm hearing for both of us when we both speak is open your mouth.
Yeah.
And share and tell people who you are and what you have to offer. That when I first started my like cupcake soap business or whatever, that was one of my biggest fears. Like that question he asked, I was like shaking in my boots.
It brought you back to that
I was like, oh my God, I want my own business, but I don't know how to talk to people. I don't know if I can sell anything.
Yes. Yes.
I just don't know how to do this. But I took a leap of faith
Mm-hmm.
and I signed up for a festival
Mm.
and I drove myself insane. But I learned a lot.
Should I do this? Should I do that? It's funny because when I talk to clients that do the same, like they will just stress themselves out about things that don't really matter. like I have some clients, so I don't really want to promote because my website looks great. Like start selling. She was like, "What should I hire?" You know, I was speaking to this is someone I did a free consultation for through a nonprofit that I work with here in Atlanta, and I'm doing a consultation with her, and I'm pulling up her stuff. Everything looks really nice, and she's a young person, so I feel like young people oftentimes just kind of already know how to make stuff look good with social media and all that. So I thought her stuff looked fine, and I was like, you know, to be honest, I've seen people who don't have no shame. Like when you see people online who have no shame. You're like, what is the issue? I'm insecure, and they feel it. Hold up. And I told her, I was like, I've seen people with stuff that don't even look nothing as good as this, as your stuff, and you should need to start. She was like, should I hire a brand strategist for $5,000? I was like, you need to just start selling. We'll talk about it in a month or two. Just start selling stuff. Just start telling people that they can buy stuff from you, and we'll talk about it later. Because everything was in place, but she still didn't feel confident about it. I'm like, she retook all her pictures. They were fine the first time. It was just like a lot of people. Yeah, when you're first starting out, you do like stress about those things, and they won't. It's you that's going to sell the thing at the end of the day, more so than
I didn't know that.
More so than the product.
That's so true.
More so than the product, for sure. And I think that's when I'm having conversations with people around marketing and branding. That's oftentimes what we're talking about. But I also I encourage people, and I'm like incorporating more into my work, like how to help people to market, not in just like because a lot of people perceive marketing as being something that's dishonest. That's in sales as well. So that's also why people don't like want to do it, because it feels like feels nasty.
I felt that way too.
Yeah, it feels nasty, and it's hard to like retrain. Some of it is retraining your brain to say, no, I'm offering something of value to people who want it. You know, I'm not tricking them into anything. I'm not doing anything that's harmful to them. And it's also like in my marketing, when I'm doing my coaching with people, I'm trying to incorporate more of some of those spiritual elements around authenticity and integrity, and pulling from your call and why you felt called to do this, and speaking about your business from that perspective, as opposed to, and that's a shift I've made even in my own messaging of, instead of coming across super like just focusing on the services I provide and I'll do this for you and I'll help you do this and I'll help you sell. It's like, no, I'm going to help you get in touch with what you actually feel called to do, and help you attract people to your business that are like-minded to you and actually can benefit what it is from what it is that you are offering.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that has helped me out as well, just being honest about who I am, where I come from, and what my struggles have been, because that's how I can relate to people. Well, in my line of work, people feel comfortable when you share your own history of trauma and how you have overcome, and that has been a motivating factor for me, helping people heal childhood trauma, because I just know how you suffer as an adult from the things that are repressed in your childhood, and that's just will always be a motivational factor for me, making the world a better place, honestly, for our children. Because unless we are healed and we're better, our children we're just going to repeat the same pattern over and over again. You know, so the little part that I can do is what brings me passion, gives me the passion to do it, even when it's tough.
Yeah. And one of the things we were speaking about yesterday, and we had a little bit of a difference of thought about this, but I was speaking about this idea of like hustling and how we're encouraged to hustle. And I know when I was first starting my business and some of the content I was sharing was around grinding and going out there and getting it. And that makes sense for like when you're first starting a business, of course, that is where your attitude is. But I was talking about how at this time I'm kind of transitioning into the space of flowing and working on attracting the types of opportunities and the types of people, the types of clients that I want to myself, as opposed to kind of like forcing this kind of like very a lot of tension, like creating a relationship with a lot of tension with my business. And you had a difference of opinion about that I would love for us to kind of get into. Kind of what were your thoughts about that?
Honestly, to me, that's very feminine, right?
The
That's
flowing,
very feminine.
the flowing. You're
Yeah.
saying flowing is feminine, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why this came to me, but I'm just gonna say it.
Say it.
When you're talking, I'm like, I don't want no man that's like that.
I'm talking right. You want a man that's going out there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get this money for us.
Right. That's right. As a feminine, as a woman having an experience in a feminine body, a female body, then that's fine, you know.
For us.
And but I was also speaking about, you know, some people don't have that luxury. To me, that sounds very luxurious.
Yeah.
And that's how I live. I'm not opposed to it. I'm saying that is just not possible for everybody.
Right.
Depending upon where they're coming from, their lifestyle, their economic situation, how many kids they have, how many, and it could be a man or a woman, you know. It's nice. I mean, I often encourage women who would like to get out of that masculine space so that they can attract a masculine, because if you want a man, I don't know why this is important right now, but if you if you want a masculine man in your life, then you do have to kind of take on that feminine energy of allowing things to come to you, darling. Allow.
Yes, that's where I'm at. Like that's totally my vibe right now. It's like I'm allowing it allowing it to come in.
Let things flow, you know. But some people just don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
That's all I was saying.
I mean, I think it's something to because every day doesn't look like that, right? Most days, if you can help it, can look like that, but every day doesn't look like that. But it's something to aspire to, I think, because perhaps when that, like, for example, that single mom, it looks like grinding now, but at a certain point, hopefully it does look like the thing she's aspiring to is for things to be more relaxed, for her to be able to flow more through her day and do what she needs to do and get the support that she needs and the resources that she needs to be able to live that life.
Yeah, of course.
The life of kind of like peace, I think is somewhat connected to that goal of having peace.
Yeah, I just don't want people to feel guilty if that's not where they're at.
Right.
For like a while.
If you're in a position where you're in school and you got this, because I do talk to people that they're in school, they got kids, they got this, they got that. And my conversation with them was like, well, you need a really good schedule, okay? Because you got a lot of stuff going on and there's a lot of things you want to achieve. And you need a really good schedule to make sure that you're able to, you know, hit all those points throughout the day.
Yes, and I will add to that schedule. Make sure you add some type of meditation, even if it's 15 minutes, 5 minutes, and make sure you're consistent, because that is what's going to fuel your fire. A lot of times, entrepreneurs have overwork and burnout because you're not fueling yourself. You're not taking care of your vitals.
Right. Yeah. And I do want to remind everyone, if you have more questions, please ask them in the comments. Kind of what we're talking about is leading me a little bit to a question you asked me yesterday. I thought was so funny. You were like, well, how do you work with clients that, their stuff is crap, or you could just tell they're really not passionate about it. Like they're just doing it to do it. And so my question for you is like, how do you think people are able to discern between like a calling, right, and building a business from a place of a calling, as opposed to building a business from a place of, I don't know what the opposite of that would be, but maybe just because you think you should, or because you think that may make you money, or like something you don't necessarily have any connection to.
Right. Well, I can always tell by if someone has a passion for something. If you give up when it gets hard, if you hate the process, you ain't going to be able to reach your goal.
Yeah.
So I mean, and what I mean by the process is like the beginning stages, the inception of an idea is always fun.
It's exciting.
And it's exciting, it's inspirational. And like even the part you were talking about finding your logo and doing all that artistic fun stuff is always fun. Right. So the not so fun parts would be having all that stuff together and not having any clients yet.
and don't have any sales yet. Yeah.
Right. And putting yourself out there and feeling like an idiot, compared to like other people who look like they got it together and they're popping, and you're like, you feel like a beggar. Like, please, can somebody send a client my way? I'll do it for free. Like nobody likes that stage. It's like the ugly hair phase or whatever.
Right.
When you're growing your hair out. You'll be like, well, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. But if you actually have a passion and it's your calling, you will pass through that humiliation.
Because also when you're starting a business, you cannot start a business and look like what what's really going on, which is a whole lot of nothing. You got to come out looking like all your stuff is together. Like you got to come out, my website is looking
That's not fair, though.
My imagery is looking pops. Like people have a higher standard for what they want to see. So
that's not fair.
Come in and just be like, y'all.
Yeah, that's what I was telling people, to make sure you get some reviews, like reviews, online reviews, make you look like you're. People want to know, especially if they don't know you and it's their first time. They want to know that they're spending their money on something and they're going to get something back in return. That's really what people want to know. If they like you, they may give you a chance. And so confidence is key.
Confidence is totally key. Consistency, even when you don't see any of the results that you're looking for. Keep saying stuff, because it's also like, and this is something I logically know from marketing research that I still don't always like take into account, but you have to tell somebody something a lot of times to get before they actually act upon the thing, right? Especially if they don't know you. It's easy for someone who knows you to act. And I guess even with my business, me kind of working with people I already know, it's easier for them. Just the familiarity of they kind of know me is enough for them to pull the trigger, more so than someone who doesn't know you at all. It's like you kind of have to, people may be keeping you, also you don't know who's keeping you in mind for stuff. And you may not see the result or the fruit of that until a while after the fact. But they may have like, okay, I see she's always posting about this, and I see she does this. And I can't tell you how many times like I run into, folks I went to college with, and they'll be like, oh yeah, how's your business? I know you're doing your business. And it's like, I would never know. They haven't like engaged, or like there's nothing that indicates to me that they even know what I'm doing. But it's like people are watching. They just they could be also recommending you to people. Like you just don't even know what conversations are being had, but that consistency of doing it. And the cool thing about the internet, something can pop up that's old that you did, like a video that you may have done 2 years ago, could all of a sudden go viral today. So that's another thing about the way content works in relation to the internet as well.
I feel like that's the smartest thing I've ever done, is share astrology knowledge online because it's
Mhm.
timeless.
Exactly.
You know, I'm constantly getting new comments and new faces and new clients from
Mhm.
my astrology videos that I have made 2 years ago,
Yeah.
you know. And
Hmm.
so I didn't, you know, you just kind of, I honestly, I just kind of been following the little butterfly that's been guiding
Yes.
me
Yeah.
throughout the process. I have no idea what I'm doing, but the ideas could drop in. And I learned, like, even me being here in Peru, not my idea.
Right. Well,
Some
your idea was to
some
come and visit for a little bit.
some
And
spark of inspiration
yeah.
that
Mhm.
led me to an article. I always get signs. Like, I was reading an article about doing an ayahuasca retreat, and then honestly, an hour, not even an hour later, one of my clients was like, "I'm going to Peru next month for ayahuasca."
Okay.
And then, like, one of
But
my
did you do
friends,
the retreat? You did the retreat?
huh?
You
I
did do
signed
the
up for it. I
ayahuasca?
haven't
Okay.
gotten to do it
Oh, okay.
because of it happened, because of what has happened.
Okay.
But I don't even know if I'm going to do it, if I really have the desire to. But we'll see. Um, and then a friend gave me like a Peruvian friendship bracelet, and I'm like, all right, I get it. I'm gonna go, you
Hmm.
know. And so I just kind of like, the universe has a law of synchronicity because we're really in a living computer program. So if you look for symbols and you ask for signs of what you should do next, you will be given signs next. And so if you're actually being present, your business will renew itself
Yeah.
over and over again. And it will go through transformations. It will go through death, a
Yeah.
death, and it will go through a new life,
Uh-huh.
you know. So me making a new podcast and making courses online
Which the
and
podcast is
making,
awesome, y'all. Trigger happy. I put the link in the description. Go ahead and check it out. It's really good.
thank
Sorry, go
you.
ahead.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, my podcast is actually inspired by the workbook I'm making, and I'm really I'm really excited about the new life that it's getting breathed into my business. I feel like it always feels like you're starting over because when you put out new content or do something new, it's like I'm rebranding myself and I'm moving in a direction where one day I won't have to always be taking clients, because when you have a client-based business, if you don't take clients, then you don't get paid.
Yeah.
So then naturally you think about ways you can make residual income,
Hmm.
so that doesn't have to be like a thing all the time, so you don't put so much pressure on yourself. And sometimes you might want to rest or take a hiatus or take a break. And so I started making workbooks. I mean, even making smaller workbooks and journals that I'll be posting in Etsy and Zazzle, and like just expanding um, my reach,
Mm.
and so that
Hmm.
people can have the work that I do with people in their home, in their hands, on their phone, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's kind of like, how can you, and that's the next stage of this next iteration of your business, because you have so much information when you're doing consultations, or, you're servicing clients one-on-one in that way.
Mhm.
It is very rewarding. I do see a lot of people who mature in their businesses. They don't offer as many of those services. A lot of times they mature to a point of like, okay, we're offering it in some sort of way that is a little bit more sustainable for them, and then does allow them to take breaks, but they get so much information about what it is that people need,
Mhm.
that what type of products to create. Because I know even in
Mhm.
my mind, I have some ideas for products, but I'm like, I don't exactly know how to make that product to actually be helpful to someone just yet. I know it's something that I feel called to do, but I'm not
Right.
ready to like pull the trigger on it just yet, because
Right.
I'm still figuring out kind of what that needs to look like, what people need right now in this moment.
Right. You're still in the research and development stage.
Mm-hmm. I'm still in the research, and I think being able to be okay with taking your time
Mhm.
and not just feeling like you got to just put stuff out there to put stuff out there for people.
Right.
Even if you started a business with one thing that you offer, one product, I'm so here for like there's this concept in marketing, like this signature, having a signature product. And there's
Right.
people who've been able to make millions of dollars off of selling one
Sometimes
thing.
I wish I had that.
Yeah, but you're developing it now. You're developing
Yeah,
now
I'm
for the
developing it.
workbook and some of these other things. Like you'll figure out what your signature. I mean, you may have some other products, but there may be like the signature thing of what people really resonate with and recognize you for. And so there's
Yeah.
people who like they maybe have a couple of different products, but there's like this one thing that they like. People like that's where they
That
make the
pop.
bulk of their money that just pops. And so I'm aware of that, and I'm kind of thinking like, what does that look like for me? Like, what is my signature thing that I can
Yeah.
sell over and over and over and over and over again, and it still benefits people.
Isn't that exciting to move into
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, it is. It's an exciting thing to think about. But that all comes from, and this is why I tell people, like, if you're in a position where you're struggling to kind of like get started, get that momentum, maybe you haven't had the first client, so you feel kind of discouraged, think about the fact that like it's every company is making iterations of what they're doing over time. So, any company that we know of that's been around for a long period of time, we know that they've changed as society has progressed into what things they offer. And the only way to I call it like a feedback loop. The only way to start that feedback loop is to start doing it, to start working with your business. Then you get the feedback, then you can tweak and refine what you're doing. Then you can understand, okay, maybe, I was offering this product, maybe it's not quite this product. What people need is this other product. So then you can start refining that product. Like you kind of need that feedback loop to be going so that
You do.
like the breadcrumb situation, right? That's part of your breadcrumb
It is.
of you seeing what it is that you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if anybody, again, wants to ask any questions, I want to give you all the opportunity to do so. Yeah, I want to give you guys the opportunity to do so before Aya leaves, because she is, as you can see, she has a lot of good wisdom and knowledge, you guys. So this has been a great, great, great conversation. While we're doing that, though, while we're waiting for any more questions, why don't you tell us a little bit more about the services that you're offering now and where people can find you and get in contact with you?
Okay. The services I offer is spiritual counseling, and what that looks like is first a free consultation where we resource exactly what it is that you're needing and what you're being guided into at this time in your life. And we also figure out if we're a good fit for each other, if I can actually like help you. And then I send you a release form where you give me like your astrology information, because I pull your astrology chart and I absorb it with my oracle senses. Then when we get together for like maybe 2 or 3 hours. And we discuss your life path, your past lives, any karma that you're working through, love life, finances, whatever it is that comes up naturally. And in that process, I'm putting this information into an energy grid that is with Reiki symbols and also gods, goddesses, deities. And then I kind of we move into the direction of your energy. And within your energy holds in a lot of the shadow and darkness that is keeping you stuck and not moving in the direction you want to go in. So we call in your ancestors, and sometimes your ancestors will show up and give you insight and information. But before I even get with you, I talk to your guides and your ancestors and ask them about you and what it is that they have been trying to get through to you for a while, and what it is that you actually are going through. Because sometimes people don't give me all the information
Yeah.
as to why or what they're going through. I find that women who are struggling with love or being cheated on or are sleeping with married men don't like to tell me that that's something that they're experiencing.
I bet
And
that's
so,
crazy when they come in that consultation with you and you're like, I didn't
well,
talk to your peoples and they didn't
Well, yeah,
tell me.
I'll be like, there's a man around you, because they'll be like, I wanna lift my uh I want to heal, or I want to be more
Okay.
spiritual or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And but we have to deal with what's going on, and we have to face what's going on, and so that it always comes out somehow, but then by the end, everything is faced that needs to be faced, and you kind of get into a trance, honestly, and there's always tears or just purging of some sort, and I release you, you know and it's really, I help you awaken to who you are, and let you realize you don't have anything to be ashamed of, afraid of. It's a very compassionate session. It's a very loving, gentle, safe space that I create for people. And then after that, following sessions are cheaper and shorter. And we just work on building a foundation of a spiritual lifestyle, so you don't get to that point anymore, to where you're suffering in silence and in isolation and feeling suicidal or feeling like you can't like live, or you can't do what you want to do. It's just not true.
Right.
And so and that would include like assisting people with building the correct altars. That's very important to the vitality of your energy. Assisting people. And really, I use the astrology chart because it'll tell you who you are and what you like, what direction you're supposed to be in, what career you're supposed to have. And it's not set in stone, but it's a blueprint.
And so, what are some of the things you recommend? I know we talked a little bit about like how to attract abundance and manifest abundance, but what are some of the things you recommend for entrepreneurs specifically to kind of, or suggest for them to maintain as practices to maintain their spiritual alignment, so you're not driving yourself into this place of like misalignment or crisis? Because you did mention to me a lot of people come to you when they've completely just driven themselves insane. Like they've completely driven themselves to a place of just being in crisis.
Yeah, I attribute that to our society and it not valuing spiritual self-care, and us putting that into the hands of our pastors, putting that into the hands of a guru or maybe some type of higher spiritual person, where really it's your own spiritual practice. And if you are into the Bible, you reading the Bible, that's you need to feed yourself somehow, And so, all right, so for me, I'll give you an example. I wake up at 4 a.m. every morning because I've been like this since I was a kid. And I do my brain balancing symbols for 15 minutes. I belly dance, and I write in my journal, which I have right here. I actually have a lot of journals all over the place.
I'm a journaler too. My notebooks. Hold on, I got my notebooks too. Go ahead.
Yes, journaling.
Yeah,
it's super important because it helps you to dump all of the maybe negative debris and BS that just comes into your head, and you could be wallowing for no reason over things that you could let go.
Yeah.
If you could just, because some people be like, well, I'm not a good writer. You don't have to be a good writer. You can just do free association. I remember when I was in like 4th or 5th grade, one of my favorite writing teachers, she would have us come in class. The first thing we would do is free association, whatever came to our head. And I'll raise my hand and I'll be like,
that is
I'll be like,
cool.
I don't have nothing to say, Mrs. Sutton. And she'd be like, well, write that,
So it's like conscious, they call it conscious writing. Like stream of consciousness writing.
Yeah, you can just be like blah 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 blah, white ball, bird, Cusco. You can just, and then stuff will eventually start flowing out. And I do that with people who are very repressed in session with me. Like, you don't have to be afraid, even if you aren't in touch with your feelings. We can start there. The key to getting to a place of flow, of your energy flow, is to start where you're at and love on yourself where you're at. a lot of us feel like we can't start loving ourselves until we reach a certain point of success, or until we lose weight, or until we have a man. We feel like then we can love ourselves and then we'll be
Right.
perfect or whatever. But there's no such thing as perfection. Let that go. But perfection is loving yourself. That is perfect,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so having a daily practice. Now, my daily practice might be extraneous, but I just give you an example. I don't care if you just spend 10 minutes meditating, just like in stillness, no music, eyes closed. Because what that does is clear your palate. It actually clears your cells, relieves you of stress, and it opens your awareness so that you can actually maybe get information and see what's going on. Because as an entrepreneur, you need to know what to do. Another important thing about journaling, I call it having an intuition party. Well, I will ask my guides or my intuition, what is it that I'm supposed to do today? What should I focus on today? And I will make a list. And when I have gone through that whole list and completed everything, honestly, I'm able to sleep better. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of times people don't sleep well because they are ignoring their intuition,
Mm-hmm.
and their mind is running rampant even in their sleep, you know. And so oftentimes when people say I'm not sleeping, I'm like, well, are you doing what your intuition tells you to do? Or are you ignoring your intuition?
Because
Because
you're
your
letting
intuition,
your mind, the difference between your intuition and your mind, I feel like your intuition is very clear. And your mind is like, that's how you kind of can tell it's a difference. Like, which one are you kind of tapping into? Because your mind, you're going to be, anytime I'm conflicted about something, I'm like, that's because I'm too much in my head. Because my intuition would just tell me the answer.
right,
I feel
true.
like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like with the intuition, my rule is that if I hear something once, I'll ignore and be like, well, maybe that's just whatever. If I hear it twice, that's not me just thinking that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just go ahead and make a move, bust a move.
Yes, absolutely. I think also something, I'm not always in the practice of doing this, but when I am in a good, like really spiritually in tune, is like setting intention before working. Like before I even start to get into that work for my business, thinking about that as a more sacred thing, as opposed like when you work, like when I worked 9 to 5, I didn't think of my work as a sacred thing. It was just like I wouldn't have worked, did what I had to do, and left. But in my business, I do feel like it's connected to a calling. So like this work is sacred. I need to treat it a certain way before I just get into start to do it.
Right. Yes, true.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, before each client, like I said before, I consult the guides. Like I have notebooks full of case studies because of that. Because I write, I pray, that's why. And I also, like I was telling you before, I used to just take lots of people during the day, but that muddled my energy so much. And it's not fair to me, and it's not fair to others as well, for me not to have a high level of energy. So now when people are begging me, please, can you see me today? I'm like, do you want me to be at my best? You
Mm-hmm.
know, and or do you want to get this whatever
Yeah.
energy? And I
Like,
wouldn't
you
do
want
that to them
something.
anyway.
Yeah. Like, just give me
I'm
something.
like, do you want to get your money's worth? Or do you, and you were asking where they could find me. I jump all over the place. Verygoodlife.com
Mm-hmm.
is my website, and A Very Good Life is my YouTube, and A Very Good Life is my Instagram. And that's also my podcast is under A Very Good Life. It's A Very Good Life presents Trigger Happy, because this is kind of like a series that
Mm-hmm.
I'll be doing. But and the next episode in that series is going to be about self-care burnout, because sometimes people they get tired of taking care, doing the self-care,
Mm-hmm.
and people get burnt out from it, and they'd be like, I'm tired of this and I just want the results already.
Right.
you know, and so that's what that's what the next podcast is going to be about.
Oh my God, I can't wait. So when can we expect the new? I don't want to put too much of a time constraint on
Well,
you.
no, I
So,
usually have it out by today,
okay.
um, but I did not like it.
Okay. Now, are you being a
So I deleted.
perfectionist, or you really feel like it's not your best?
I felt like I was tired while I was doing it,
Okay.
and sometimes when I'm tired, I can be too harsh,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I always want to make sure I have a well-rounded perspective for people that maybe are babies spiritually who need more gentleness,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe be a stern for people who know better.
Yeah,
You know.
absolutely. Absolutely. So you all look out for that next episode of Trigger Happy.
Yeah, it'll
Um,
be out next week. I'll
okay.
have it
So
out
I'll
next
definitely
Sunday.
be keeping an eye out for it for sure. Because I had such a great time. And I would definitely encourage you to check out the other episodes that are already up. I think there's about 3 now. So I would really, and you do have a very like relaxing, calm voice as well. So it makes it like really pleasurable to listen to. So um,
People say that. When I hear it back,
yeah.
all I hear is rah, rah, rah.
Like, is that a monster talking? No, your
Yeah,
voice sounds
I'll
really
be like,
soothing.
ugh.
It does because I've listened to it at different times of the day because it took me like maybe 2 days to get through the episodes. But like when I listened to the last episode, I listened to it in the morning, and so I was like, this is a great way. And I did like one of the episodes has a meditation with it, so it was like a great way to kind of incorporate that into my morning routine because I did the meditation, and then your voice is like guiding me through the meditation. I was like, this is really nice. Like, you should definitely consider doing, some more of those kind of guided meditation if you're not already thinking about that.
Yeah,
Some
people
guided
tell me that.
meditation things. Yeah.
I have been thinking about it. Like maybe with I'm doing the I have a lot of recommendations. Do you mind?
Go
Just
ahead.
one.
Go for it. Go for
I
it.
have a recommendation for people who need assistance with what to do every day, what to meditate with every day. A good way to meditate every day, an easy way to have guidance is the 72 angels of consciousness. I don't think people can see it because of the light. There we go.
Okay. Yeah.
It's 72 angels of consciousness. They're cards
Okay.
that have our guardian angels on them. And within the deck, it tells you about each angel, their attributes, and their human distortions. And so when you work with the angels every day, you chant their name 3 times. And how I'm working with the whole deck, and you work with each angel 5 for 5 whole days, right? And so while you're chanting, it's purifying your energy. These 72 angels are 72 angels of God consciousness. And so we think of angels as white beings with wings. And the reason why they have that imagery of angels is because when you work with them, you raise your level of consciousness. You're purifying your consciousness and getting close to our true nature is God consciousness. But because we believe we're separate from God, we live in a distorted version of that consciousness. So if people do tarot, they understand like a reverse card or whatever, an inverted energy.
Yeah.
And so working with these angels every day. In the morning, you can chant at night. You can chant while you're driving. Will help you be moving in a direction of purifying your energy without having to become a yogi or anything like that.
Okay. Awesome. And then what are some of the other? Let's go through some of the other ones. Let's give them, as much as possible. Were there some other things you wanted to recommend? So we talked about the journaling, talked about the morning meditation, stretching, or doing some sort of movement in the morning.
Oh, I mean, I think that's enough.
I recommend lemon water and ginger, warm lemon water with ginger.
Okay.
Sometimes a shot of cayenne pepper in the winter. Yeah, that kind of like gets your digestive. First of all, it's soothing. But it also
Okay.
gets your digestive system kind of working. So you drink that before you eat anything. So it's like your digestive system is kind of warming it up to ease yourself. Because kind of like when you just wake up and start eating, it's kind of like a shocking thing. Like your
Yeah.
digestive system may not be prepared. So even if you're not drinking warm water, just drinking water, like drinking something before you get up and like
Water
start doing
is
stuff.
so important to your sanity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of the burnout and stuff people experience is because of lack of hydration, you
Mm,
know.
mm-hmm.
But as far as nutrition goes, I recommend for people who aren't in touch with their nutrition, because I like a Ayurvedic style of living. Ayurvedic will incorporate your doshas, your inner constitution, will either be kapha, beta, or pitta, and I'm kapha. So I can tell you how to eat as a kapha
Mm-hmm.
dosha,
So how do
but
you find out which one you are?
oh, there's tests online. You can go on
Okay.
Chopra, on Chopra .com, and you can take a dosha test
Okay.
to see, because you could be a combination of two.
And the
You could be
dosha is
all
what?
a dosha is okay. So you're either a water person, a fire person, or an air person.
Ooh, so kind of similar to zodiac.
Yeah, but more
Using Earth.
about like how your relationship with food affects your emotional, mental, and physical health.
Mm-hmm.
So according to, like, they'll ask you silly questions. You think the questions are silly, like, are your eyes big or are they small? Is your hair thin or is it thick? Is
Mm-hmm.
your skin dry? Like, all that stuff is elemental,
Mm.
and that would help you eat according to your constitution, to your elemental constitution, instead of just picking stuff out the air. Because there's certain herbs and nuts and oils, meats, that you should eat, and it'll also show you what you should stay away from, what will agitate you.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So I'm definitely that's my first time hearing about that, but I definitely want to take that test to see which
Yeah,
person.
so your Vedic style of living um, really takes your constitution into consideration. Like, for people who don't like to exercise, and you're unlike one like me, in um, your Vedic lifestyle, you exercise until you feel energized and not till you're in pain.
Mm. That's me because I don't really
Um,
like exercising in like a, and then I feel guilty about not doing that, but I don't want to exercise till I'm like about to, like, I don't like feeling pain after I exercise and stuff like that. I like to feel good. Yeah. So, ooh, yeah, I got it.
yeah, that you would love that. You would love that
Mm.
whole lifestyle.
Ooh, okay. Thank you so much. So we have a comment here. Um, Never thought, and let me get your name again, Kadesh. So he says, never thought about the spiritual aspect of business, but now I am incorporating this going forward. So that is
Yay!
amazing. Yay, we help somebody. Go
Yay!
us.
That's awesome.
That's exactly
Yeah.
the point of this conversation. And why, especially right now, like why this conversation, incorporating spirituality into our business is so important, because people are calling for authenticity in business now. People are not going to just tolerate buying a product from somebody and not understanding their values, not understanding the story behind that product. So I think this is a perfect time to have this conversation. I don't want to hold you up forever because we've already been here 2 hours, but I want to thank you so much
No,
for
thank you,
coming in
Angel,
to
for
join us.
facilitating this. Thank you for being so brave and allowing this conversation to happen. We really appreciate you.
Yes, well, you guys are welcome. And thank you for being vulnerable, for sharing so much good information. Like the comments are just so positive. A lot of people are saying they took a bunch of notes. So again, I want to remind you all that you will be able to see this replay will stay here. So I think it does take a little bit of time after I end the broadcast for it to upload to YouTube. So it will be here. You can definitely share the link out to your friends and family who you think may benefit from this conversation. Aya talked a little bit about where you can find her. Very good life on a very good life on everything. Sounded like on Instagram,
Mhm.
her website, and on YouTube. I'm going to also send her this video here, so you may see it on her page as well. And feel free if you have any questions around branding and marketing, you can check me out on Instagram at She Is Angel Mills. You can also check my website out, angelmillsbrandstrategy.com. And learn more, shoot me a DM or an email and we can chat more. So thank you all for joining us tonight.
Thank
Oh,
you.
we wanted to do a closing prayer. Let's make sure we do that so we close out properly.
Let's close out prayer.
Yeah, so let's do our closing prayer and then I'm going to wish you all an excellent rest of your week.
Okay. Thank you so much to Angel. Thank you so much for all the souls that are here with us, who are very bright, very smart, very positive, and very integral in building a new world and building a new way of existing here on Earth, and maybe even getting back to the ancient. The ancient technologies are becoming revived within us once again, and me being who I am, I'm excited to see that. And I may not be able to see that, the fruition of the Garden of Eden on earth again in my lifetime, but I'm looking forward to building that foundation for our children, so that they can have a space where they feel safe to express themselves. We're tired of not being able to be ourselves in this world, and I ask for all of us to feel your gentle love, Spirit, as we move forward into our higher minds, higher consciousness, and enlightenment. And we give thanks for all things, whether they are pleasant or unpleasant. We know that is working for our good and to bring out the best in us. Thank you so much, and peace to everyone this evening.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Have a good one, you all.
Good night.
Good night.